thanks a million. Very nice to be here. Looking forward to sharing some of our insights on upskilling and reskilling multiple talent pools. As Dave said, I'm from Technology Ireland Digital SkillNet, and we are the digital and technology network representative of SkillNet Ireland. We're very much industry-led, we're funded by government, and our role is to ensure that organisations have the talent and the skills that they need to advance the competitiveness, its productivity, and the innovation that they're rolling out within their organisation. And that's all done through enterprise-led workforce development. So it was with that context and that background, because we support thousands of learners on an annual basis through our postgrad and master programs and bespoke training programs on digital transformation, that we do feel that we have a really good vantage point for understanding how to upskill and reskill different types of talent pools. So that's the background. Just moving on then to really what is driving this motivation for upskilling and reskilling in the workforce. So we know that digital and AI technologies are transforming the world of work, and that today's workforce will need to learn new skills and learn to continually adapt. Learning and development is profoundly affected by digital transformation, and the pace of change that is occurring daily in organisations has never been as fast. Every conceivable job will have new technologies to adapt to as these roles fit and refit into a changing technological landscape. The pace of change is amazing, but it's also a little bit frightening, particularly if you're coming from a background that may not have the required skills that's in demand at the moment. In our new world, as emerging technologies such as blockchain, AI, AR, VR create new industries, new jobs are being invented on a daily basis. And it's a well-known stat at this stage, but it's forecasted that by 2030, the majority of the roles that we'll be carrying out will not actually have been invented yet. So that can be a little bit overwhelming. After all, how do you prepare for a role which hasn't been invented yet? So upskilling and reskilling has been the essence of what Technology Ireland Digital SkillNet's mandate has been about. The phrases have become significant really in the L&D industry in the last few years, but is there a difference? And for those of you who think there isn't, I'm tending to agree with you, because as I've worked in this space for some time now, I think the lines have definitely become blurred with the difference in reskilling and upskilling, just due to the rapid pace of change that's happening in everyone's job, in everyone's roles. But ultimately, upskilling is the process of taking your skills and knowledge into a certain area and bring it to a new level, while the term reskilling is around learning and developing new skills for a different role. From a day-to-day basis, we would see examples of people coming to do with their postgrads and their masters, where they might have a traditional degree in anything from IT related to HR, but through the course of their career, they started to progress into different teams and different departments, have new outlooks, and they want to top up their understanding on a particular topic and career. So they would do upskill with a master's or postgrad. And very often they're looking to get into that area, and they might be doing a piece of that area as part of their day-to-day, but they just want that certification and that accreditation. And there's a huge demand for that. In reskilling, it's more where we're trying to attract and prepare people who are coming from a non-traditional background into a new area. And we have been involved in many reskilling programs over the years, such as Cloud Careers, Women Tech Start, and indeed any of our open technical programs. And in the case of Women Tech Start, we're looking to attract, I'm actually just getting, my slides haven't shared, so just one second. They should have shared there now. Apologies for that. But so Women Tech Start, therefore, organisations to attract new women into technology. So, for example, in our last number of programmes, we would have trained people who come from nursing backgrounds, bakers, hospitality industry. So that's a really strong example of what reskilling looks like. But for both the elements, embracing the idea requires a real sense of agency on the part of individuals. Each of us needs to be both motivated and prepared to put the effort in towards making lifetime learning a priority. Just before we move on to the next slide, again, this is another common slide that's been shared a lot, and not a lot of change even in the last 2 years on what the top core skills are. And we're just seeing this through every program that we develop. Pretty much every program that we have will have core human capital, social capital skills tailored around these topics. Organizations feel that this is the holy grail when it comes to upskilling and reskilling, whether it's from graduates coming out of college and they're wanting to start making an impact straight away in the workforce, or whether it's people who have long tenure in organizations and they just need to refine how this works. It is difficult to teach, and that's why organizations and training companies need to be really creative about how to do this and how this works. And immersive learning, social learning, mentorships, and really experiential learning is a real way to transfer this type of knowledge. So looking at the learning and development investment that is going on in the workforce at the moment, and upskilling and reskilling is key for the future of workplace growth and staff retention rates. In Technology Ireland Digital Skill Ed, we are seeing exceptional demand for the talent development programs as organisations invest in their learning and development strategies to future-proof their workforce capabilities. The war for talent was on long before COVID, and it's still on, and it's set to continue. Reports from McKinsey state that it's an economic imperative to provide upskilling options for the workforce in order to continue to rebuild post-COVID and to support career oscillations that are occurring for people. For organisations to thrive in this digital economy and to truly embrace digital transformation strategies, they must understand that the workforce development and elevating the social capital capability of their organisation is a foundational enabler for any success or any tech adoption that organisations will achieve. It's imperative that learning and development is adaptable and agile, but one size does not fit all. So for a variety of reasons, companies are making investment in their L&D strategies. It's vital for the attraction and retention of people. The emergence of new digital technologies, pace of innovation, new business models, new legislation in particular is having a huge impact on the need for people to develop new skills. The learning and development can contribute to an increase in motivation and job satisfaction and engagement. It's a really important way to maintain companies in engagement or employees' engagement. The workforce is becoming increasingly virtual and global. And it really can help build a value-based culture and a sense of community within organisations. And then finally, and really crucially, companies are using these learning programs to support the implementation of their new business strategy. And at the moment, those new business strategies are typically around digital transformation and innovation. So with this ramp up in talent development, organisations are intentionally looking to widen and deepen their talent pool. While traditional degrees and educations may have demonstrated a capacity to learn or have a foundational understanding of skills, organisations know that their L&D strategies need to be agile in order to react to skills gaps and market conditions, human capital needs, and technical innovation. So to cultivate new talent within the workforces, organisations need the right technologies and approaches, and they need to create an atmosphere that is conducive to learning and personal growth. So in the same theme of investment in L&D, we're just looking at a little bit at the landscape and the change in the landscape of the learning process. And I'm sure amongst this audience, there's people much more capable of talking about neuroscience, but I just find that it's a real area that we're gathering more and more understanding of it. And it's really powerful to have that information. I'm personally really intrigued about how it can help us with the skills-based learning and development. We know from neuroscience that various conditions can optimize learning growth factors, such as exercise, sleep, silence in the mind, if you can. Nature and nurture affect the learning brain. And people have different genetic predispositions. but experience continuously shapes our brain structure and modifies behavior. Permanent brain connections are made only when people combine a number of activities, such as reading, writing, listening, talking, practicing, collaborating, and reflecting. There are many insights from neuroscience which should guide and design of learning initiatives. The powerful training initiatives use multiple learning and delivery channels, vary the type of activity, and employ instructional methods that stimulate active engagement, including facilitation, stimulation games, and role play. Learning is a social activity. Shared learning content with colleagues during a learning session at work improves retention. The adult brain changes following acquisition of new skills. However, changes in the brain reverse when people do not have the opportunity to use or apply those skills. And we must stress that within SkillNet and the programs that we roll out and develop and the research that has been conducted, all of those programs, whether it's from our digital transformation, which is reinforced with capstone projects, or masters in product management, everything has to have applied learning. So some of our entry criteria before you can even come on a program will be that you're working in an environment that is conducive to what you're going to learn, that you get to come back from your module, do your exams or do your assignments, or even practice your assignments based on your day-to-day job. So you're getting real-time reinforcement of what you're learning. The case for developing talent in-house, and this is really what upskilling is all about, and it's just clear that there's just not enough to hire a workforce that's full of tech-savvy learners. It just doesn't suit everybody. Companies must also create an environment where they can exercise their dexterity or growth mindset. That's why experienced leaders and managers say that it's important to build a company culture in which employees are encouraged to learn new skills, have access to high quality learning programs and platforms. They're free to learn whatever way is most effective to them. They feel empowered to act as teachers or mentors to colleagues or teammates, and that they have permission to experiment and to learn from failure. At the same time, continuous advances in technology mean that even if an employee is qualified when they walk in the door, their company might need people with different skills in the next 12 to 24 months. The pace of innovation is just rapidly advancing, but the direction and innovation is predictable, but the direction in which we need to innovate is less predictable. So it's important to build a workplace in which employees are willing and able to upskill or add new proficiencies or on a just-in-time basis. So how do organizations cultivate large talent pools? Again, there's no silver bullet for this, but these are just a number of examples that we've seen and we've taken from, and that we can see real opportunity for development and enhancement. We've established that the old style notions of training are far too slow and relatively expensive. They're usually classroom based and structure led. They're usually focused only on the current employees, ignoring the potential for new recruits. And within Digital SkillNet and indeed SkillNet Ireland, there are plenty of pilots that are well underway and even some more established. And organisations are being challenged to be creative in their approaches and transform the upskilling and reskilling process to accommodate multiple talent pools and customise the skills training to meet that talent pool. So the Ireland Inc., it's been at the forefront of the tech sector for more than 40 years now. And without wanting to go down a corporate tax route, I just want to compliment and credit the education system and the development of the workers who have made Ireland such an attractive place to work and to attract industry too. We need to maintain this workforce momentum as companies need more and better trained workers to meet the demand. The rapid technological change means that there aren't always ways for applicants with the skills companies need. So not only have you fewer resources in the pipeline, you also have more companies competing for the same talent. So how are companies looking to address this? The first one on industrial scale and recruitment by expanding views on entry criteria. So the growth of data centres is how the example I'm going to correlate here. The growth of data centres in Ireland may initially pose a challenge for large organisations who may be concerned with how these roles will be resourced. In the case of Microsoft, they identified that the crucial skills for these new locations are in a data centre management, with particular responsibilities in systems, administration, or troubleshooting. They're tough skills to recruit for and not a career path that potentially existing Microsoft workers would go down. Microsoft decided to expand its view on who could do these jobs and create brand new pools of talent. So they decided to train up cohorts in specific roles for data centres and invite application from candidates who don't have professional qualifications, who may be from non-tech backgrounds, but are from a fully diverse and inclusive background. This is having such a positive community impact, and it's helping to grow the overall technology environment in Ireland. This could work for many other sectors, and indeed, the key thing about it is that there's no obligation for the trainees to actually stay with Microsoft. They feel they are free to use their new skills as they wish and potentially go to competitors. But the key thing is that the volumes of people that are being trained from these totally different talent pools are generating lots of skilled resources that Microsoft may wish to work with Microsoft or AWS as a competitor. And I would say the other thing, or the interesting thing about this is the job spec. It's ripped up. Sometimes job specs for these roles can be so prescriptive, and it just excludes huge volumes of people from the workforce. And especially when you're trying to introduce new areas or new teams and new sectors of the tech sector. The other one is women in the workplace, and those of you who are familiar with Technology Ireland Digital Skill Net will be familiar with some of our programs. But attracting more women into the workplace is an immense opportunity for business. A Solus report going back to 2019 identified that there were 218,000 women working at home and not participating in the workforce. 57,000 of those had third level qualifications, and over 60% of them were actually going through further education and training, and 60% were women that were going through that training. So clearly a huge opportunity. And we can see that through our own work and our initiatives such as Women Reboot and Women Tech Start. And they're specifically designed to meet the tech industry demands and increase diversity in the sector. And since 2016, we've trained over 200 women that have come from being job seekers or working in the home and are now placed and working with companies in technology. The demand is unprecedented for this area that we're seeing, and in 2021 alone, almost 80 women returners will have been returned to the workplace via our programs. And we're seeing the impact of COVID and hybrid working models. It appears to be having a really positive impact on the number of women who are now interested in returning to the workplace. More flexible working arrangements and better scope for increased sharing of home and family responsibilities is contributing to that. And even in the past 3 months, we're just seeing such a demand. But these programs, coupled with the brilliant advocacy that's happening in the industry right now with organizations such as Women in Technology and STEM, and others indeed in different fields, is really making the workforce a market that's more attractive for women to return to. That same Solus report highlighted that women who are not currently working represent a major source of untapped talent and potential, and in terms of addressing the skills shortages that's affecting all sectors. And today on Budget Day, it did identify that 16,000 women who could potentially be attracted to return to the workplace would do if the conditions were right. And of course, those conditions can tie back into childcare and flexibility and different areas like that. The final area to just address is around leveraging the wisdom of experience. And the deep tacit knowledge of how to perform a task is often held in the minds of experienced workers. And for many organisations, there is an opportunity to capture this knowledge and pass it on via coaching or tutoring. This can be a challenge for organisations where older systems and technologies are declining in use. yet there is a crucial transition period before these legacy technologies become obsolete. We've seen examples in Ireland and pilots in Ireland, but particularly a lot happening in the US, where the knowledge of older, current and returned subject matter experts to provide mentoring to new entrants, graduates and new hires is really on the up. This upskilling can be particularly beneficial for problem solving, understanding context of legacy systems, client relationships, industry knowledge that are unfamiliar to new recruits, and direct mentorship can accelerate this knowledge transfer. It doesn't make sense that highly skilled and knowledgeable resources have to retire due to their age. As long as they want to and they're capable to, we believe that they should continue, and we really need to leverage off this rich knowledge and retain it within the market. The other one is around the mentoring, and SkillNet too have developed the Mentors Work Programme to provide business leaders and skills with the skills and supports that they need to help businesses thrive by addressing specific needs of the business. And so all of this mentoring and one-to-one, whether it be career development or one-to-one problem solving, is really the type of customization of training that is prevailing in Ireland today. So there is quite a significant programme of work ahead. It's probably a tired saying at the moment that COVID-19 impacts has accelerated the future of work. Not too long ago, I left a career due to needing a hybrid working environment. And so the irony of all of this is not lost on me. And I feel once this next adjustment settles and the workforce will consistently demonstrate the positive outcomes of this flexibility. In our case of digital transformation, we were midway through a programme being delivered to 900 people in Dell Technologies. We had to quickly pivot and invest into the transition of the programme to be delivered online. But crucially, we found that we were able to provide the same social and intellectual experience for the Dell workforce that we're looking to upskill. And that was a real positive marker for us and an indicator of what we could do going forward. These programs were still able to be delivered to leaders and practitioners, as well as learn about the digital mindset and digital transformation, yet they were actually live and were part of a real life transformation. It's what's happening, and for us in SkillNet, it's very exciting to see the evolution of upskilling and how this is bringing and entering new multiple talent pools into play as talent acquisition departments become more open to varied talent pools for all the roles. Through our funding, we have an opportunity to build customized training programs that incorporate so many modes of learning. We believe that there is no one size to fit all, and we understand that everyone learns differently and at different paces. We've all been to school with the genius friend with photographic memory. That was not me, and it took me some time to figure out that how I learn, I need to write everything down, I need to live it and experience it. We're developing programs now that will leverage off self-directed learning, instructor-led training, mentoring, and importantly, experiential learning. With the demand for new skills in cyber, security, AI, and blockchain, and the expectation of the fluidity of roles, pathways must be created to continue the development of experienced employees with valuable tenure and experience. A recent PwC report on the workforce of the future, which measured the impact of technology against 2030 expectations, you could be forgiven for being quite daunted at the prospect of what the workforce in 2030 holds. It talks a lot about specialists being highly prized, organisations being stripped down and nimble, organisations needing a small number of people with outstanding management skills. And the pace of work is accelerating still, and the war on talent is fiercely being fought. And employers will start their recruitment drives, not just out of college, but they're going straight back into schools to find and to ring fence their talent. I'm sure we'll meet all of these talents head on and react to some of the forces and create others ourselves. But through all the programs, we focus on the people, and ultimately by applying new skills in a various mode, we will have a prepared workforce to meet the demands ahead. This slide is probably familiar to you, but I just thought it's useful to concentrate the different types of informal learning, and the real shift that there is to informal learning or less structured classroom and structure-led training. And we're seeing a lot of our programs would have lots of time for breakouts and social training, and we're seeing a huge emphasis on that and what that could potentially do for peer-to-peer support. On-demand learning comes in so many different modes, and career learning is going to be much more agile, tactical, and those micro-credentials are going to be so important, and to be reinforced with coaching and mentoring. But as we were talking, I'm sure there's lots of more even informal learning methods coming along. So just to start wrapping up, to upskill and reskill in multiple talent pools, companies need to understand a number of things and embrace and implement a number of measures. First of all, to understand the skills you have in your workforce now, not just the roles your workers currently do, and the gaps the skills and the gaps to the skills you will need in the future. It's much bigger than STEM. You just need to think out the box a little bit. You need to strengthen the innovation culture in your organization. Be creative, demonstrate empathy and leadership capabilities in your business alongside those critical tech skills. Make talent and capabilities management a matter of urgency in your organization, or you will risk losing battle to harness the technology, breakthroughs and innovation in your sector. Build and nurture adaptability in your workforce by harnessing a flexible talent mix, new ways of working and leading, and radically different career paths. And redesign the traditional one-size-fits-all HR programs and L&D programs and policies to deliver on new learning and development models, career paths, capability models, and the redesign of jobs and compensation frameworks. So that's everything from our perspective on upskilling and reskilling in multiple talent pools. I'll just stop sharing my screen there, and hopefully you all enjoyed that and were able to take some ideas from it.